Well,
So
down
we're on the Nolichucky River in Erwin, Tennessee, and this is Linda Modica. Okay, tell
All
me.
right, we're about where the truck just passed. There's a bridge, and a creek runs underneath that bridge, and it is one of the streams that is downstream from nuclear fuel services, where the runoff from the plant and some of its effluents also go into that creek.
And what does Nuclear Fuel Services do?
Nuclear Fuel Services is the sole manufacturer of fuel for Navy reactors, submarines, and aircraft carriers. So Nuclear Fuel Services makes that fuel with highly enriched uranium, some of which came from dismantled nuclear weapons. So its effluent is processed, but still contains highly enriched uranium, also plutonium, neptunium, americium, other transuranics, and U-238, 236. Technetium-99, I could go on, at least a dozen radionuclides, and at least 24 different chemicals. So we're on on one side of the Nolichucky, and we're going to loop around and meet up with Park Overall soon. All right,
And you have spent years collecting samples for 95 miles along the Nolichucky,
Yes.
and what did you find?
Yes, we collected water, soil, sediment, and some vegetation, aquatic vegetation, and in all of the cases downstream for 95 river miles, we found highly enriched uranium with NFS's signature on it.
Including in a lake that's on the Cherokee Reservation, right?
No, it's not that. Well, rivers that flow into that lake, Davy Crockett Lake, are on the reservation, but most of the lake is it's a TVA lake, one of the TVA reservoirs. That's where the Nolichucky and the French Broad River meet, forming Davy Crockett Lake. So that's 95 river miles downstream. We're currently at river mile 94.7 to be exact. But just to round up, you could say 100 miles downstream, and it's an old river, so there are many oxbows and meanders, and we collected the finest of the sediment in the oxbows and in the big curves of the river, so that we could get the best samples. And that's as old rivers flow. The older the river, the bigger the curves in a river. It's just the dynamic of a river. And on the inside of the curve, in the bend in the river, is where the sediment settles out. And so those are the places where we collected samples of sediment. And in every case, including in the depths of of Davy Crockett Lake, we had Mike Ketterer on a pontoon boat, which we rented. He collected using an elaborate set of pipes, sediment in a TVA reservoir, and we were able to identify NFS nuclear waste.
Now
Basically nuclear waste.
These radionuclides, some of them, their half-life is short, and some of them is very long, right?
That's true. Yeah, the technetium-99 239 has a short half-life. But the uranium isotopes, all have a half-life of a billion years. So this is radioactive contamination forever. And this is added to what the Nuclear Regulatory Commission likes to say, oh, the mountains give off radiation. It happens to be true. There is uranium in granite, and some of our mountains do have granite. And yeah, but that's background radiation that has been subsiding for millennia, decaying slowly. But this is man-made radiation that is added to that radiation that we are naturally receiving, and that our bodies have evolved to adapt to. And sometimes of course, an organism will be subjected to that, even just background radiation, and do damage to the cells, and possibly a cancer would erupt later on. But in this case, this is highly enriched uranium. It is man-made, and it's in addition to the background radiation. There's a set of linear trails in Erwin, and we're coming to part of it. This is downstream from NFS.
NFS Nuclear
Fuel Services. A couple with a little lap dog, was walking their dog along this section of the linear trail, and they let their dog drink from the river water. Later that night, the dog went into convulsions. They brought it to the emergency vet. That's my dog, barking. The vet thought that the dog had been poisoned, and the dog needed to be euthanized. They didn't think that it would survive any kind of antidote. The owners of the dog ended up reporting that to the city commission, and one of the city commissioners was also on the county commission, and after that incident, they became more aware of how poisonous this water is. And this is downstream from NFS. All very beautiful, scenic East Tennessee, but this water is poisoned by NFS.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go.
Poison Pond.